Immigration fuels the biggest UK population rise in the last 50 years, Ben. This is at the same time as this country freely admits it is skint.
Just when we thought things couldn't get messier, the UK media has just leaked explosive details about Labour leader Keir Starmer. Turns out, he's been living large with access to luxury properties and expensive gifts, all thanks to millionaire donor Lord Ali. But here's the kicker. Starmer failed to declare most of it. Now, with the public and politicians alike calling for answers, you've got to wonder, is this the scandal that could bring Starmer down for good?
The shambles of an administration. I don't know why Keir Starmer just doesn't step aside and let Angela Rayner take over, because, like it or not, she is your epitome of social mobility. And the four things that...
From what we know, this whole thing wasn't just discovered by accident. It seems that the information was deliberately leaked, and the whispers point to someone within Starmer's administration. Think about it. Only someone on the inside could have access to these kinds of specifics, like the exact properties he's been using, the values of the gifts, and all those little details that have been trickling out piece by piece. This wasn't a quick slip-up either. It looks like someone's been steady with the drip, feeding the media these revelations over time. Maybe someone on the inside wasn't too thrilled about how things were being run, or they had their reasons for wanting to throw him under the bus. Either way, it seems this wasn't just a slip of the tongue at a cocktail party. This information seems to have come from a very deliberate and calculated place, likely with the intent to cause some damage. If it's true that this leaked from within, then it suggests that Starmer might have deeper issues in his inner circle than he's letting on. When your people turn on you like this, it hints at cracks in the foundation, and those are the kinds of issues that don't just go away on their own. This leak is a major sign that not everything is as harmonious as it might appear in Starmer's camp.
He's been gifted, and who's paid for his wife's clothes. It's a bit like a giant game of whack-a-mole. And it's not about to get easier, because our deputy political editor Sam Coates has been investigating as part of the Westminster Accounts project at Sam.
And let's get into the heart of this scandal, those luxury properties and gifts that have everyone talking. We're not just talking about a little weekend getaway here and there. We're talking about multi-million-pound properties in some of the most exclusive locations. First off, there's the £4 million townhouse in Soho. This isn't just any townhouse. It's the kind of place where every detail screams wealth and exclusivity. From the sleek interiors to the prime location, it's not exactly the kind of place that goes unnoticed. According to the reports, it wasn't just a private hideaway. This place was used for strategy meetings with top figures in his administration, all courtesy of Lord Ali. Then there's the Covent Garden penthouse, another jaw-dropper in its own right. We're talking about an £18 million property in one of the poshest parts of London. Starmer's family stayed there for around 6 weeks during the election campaign, but when he declared it, he listed its value at only £2,000, which is suspiciously low for a place where the rent can easily reach £1,800 a night. This isn't just a place to crash, it's a high-end luxury pad that raises eyebrows about why it wasn't fully declared. And if that wasn't enough, we have the Manhattan apartment, reportedly worth around £2 million. Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, spent several days there last year on holiday, again with the value underreported. For anyone who knows Manhattan, properties in prime locations come with a hefty price tag, and yet the declared value for these stays doesn't seem to match up with the real market rates. On top of the properties, there's been mention of some high-end clothing and other items, all gifted by Lord Ali. We're talking about clothing worth tens of thousands of pounds, with some individual items valued at thousands. It's not just a shirt or two either. Reports suggest that the haul was quite substantial, enough to warrant a second look at the declarations. All of this adds up to a pretty hefty stack of luxuries, none of which were properly declared at the time.
media machine at the top of the party has not corrected, as they see, sort of false equivalent stories that are out there comparing the sort of freebies that maybe senior figures in the Labour Party have been having with previous scandals of a bygone era.
Keir Starmer's failure to declare these lavish gifts is where things get murky, especially when we talk about political transparency. In politics, transparency isn't just a buzzword. It's essential for maintaining public trust. When leaders fail to fully disclose their financial dealings or perks received, it gives off the impression that they might have something to hide. And that's the thing with Starmer right now. He received luxury benefits, including stays at high-end properties and expensive clothing, all gifted by Lord Ali, yet he didn't disclose everything as he should have. According to the MP's Code of Conduct, politicians are required to declare any gifts or hospitality that could potentially influence their decision-making. This means that if you're gifted something more than just a small token, it has to be reported for transparency's sake. The rules are clear-cut. Declare everything that could sway your actions as an MP and make it public. By failing to do this, Starmer isn't just bending the rules, he's breaking them. And it's not just about avoiding legal consequences, it's about ensuring that people can trust their leaders to be open and honest about where they're getting their perks from. Take that stay at the Covent Garden penthouse as an example. He valued his time there at just £2,000, but the place is worth millions. For anyone who knows London real estate, especially in places like Covent Garden, that price tag doesn't seem right. If similar properties are fetching £1,800 a night, undervaluing it this much raises some serious questions. Was he trying to downplay the luxury, or was there another reason for this suspiciously low figure? Either way, it doesn't look good, and it only fuels the speculation that he might have something to hide. When you're in the public eye, transparency isn't just expected, it's demanded. Failing to disclose these kinds of benefits doesn't just break rules, it breaks trust.
The departure of Chief of Staff Sue Gray, Labour had hoped for a better first impression. The government point to achievements. Are they not hitting the mark?
I think what was missing was a kind of political story, a narrative about what binds all these things together.
Lord Ali is not just any donor. He's a wealthy businessman and a significant figure in the Labour Party. Someone who has a lot of influence. His relationship with Starmer is coming under intense scrutiny right now, and for good reason. Lord Ali has provided Starmer with more than just money. He's given him access to luxury properties, expensive clothing, and who knows what else. This isn't the kind of support most politicians receive, and it raises a lot of eyebrows.
For a holiday came after headlines about Keir Starmer accepting substantially more free gifts and hospitality than any other MP. The Education Secretary today defended her free Wimbledon and Taylor Swift tickets.
Lord Ali's donations and gifts aren't just about being generous. They come with a certain level of influence, and people are asking why he's been so willing to offer Starmer these luxuries. In politics, there's always an unspoken rule. Nobody gives something for nothing. And how much sway does he have over Starmer's decisions? When someone bankrolls your lifestyle, it's hard to believe that they won't expect a little something back, whether it's in terms of policies, favours, or just preferential treatment.
Chief of Staff Sue Gray by his side, here attending Labour conference in Liverpool last autumn. The sniping against her from within his government has reached a level that leaves many thinking she may not last in post.
Sue Gray, Starmer's Chief of Staff, finds herself right in the middle of this scandal. As it turns out, Gray wasn't just aware of the meetings at that luxurious Soho townhouse. She was present for them. Her presence adds another layer of intrigue, as she's not just any staff member, she's a powerful figure within Starmer's administration. Gray recently received a significant pay rise, reportedly earning more than the Prime Minister, which raises even more questions. Why does someone in her position, with that kind of influence and salary, get involved in what appears to be a messy situation? The public reaction to her involvement has been intense, to say the least. For many, Her participation in these meetings makes it harder for Starmer to claim that he was simply making use of a donor's generosity without any strings attached. People are questioning her judgment as well as the overall integrity of Starmer's leadership. After all, if your Chief of Staff is part of these secretive meetings in a multi-million-pound property that hasn't been properly declared, it casts a shadow over the entire operation. This isn't the kind of transparency that Starmer promised, and Gray's role in it only serves to deepen the scandal. It suggests that even those at the highest levels within his team may have been complicit, or at least comfortable with bending the rules. It's one thing to hold election strategy meetings, it's another to do it in a luxury townhouse worth millions. These properties weren't just used as casual retreats. They were venues for high-level discussions about the Labour Party's plans leading up to the general election. The perception here is critical, because Labour has always tried to position itself as the party of change and transparency. But how does that message hold up when strategy meetings are being held behind closed doors in some of London's priciest real estate? There's a level of secrecy here that's hard to ignore. It clashes with Labour's image as a party for the people, supposedly committed to openness and accountability. Meeting in luxury settings doesn't exactly scream relatability or humility. Instead, it makes it seem like Starmer and his team are out of touch with the everyday struggles of ordinary citizens. This kind of exclusivity creates an us versus them feeling, which is the exact opposite of what Labour says it stands for. Using these luxurious venues, all courtesy of Lord Ali, doesn't help the party's case for transparency. Instead, it raises more questions about the influence of wealth and privilege on their political decisions. The scandal hasn't gone unnoticed by Starmer's political opponents. Both the Conservative Party and the SNP have been quick to demand a formal investigation into Starmer's ties with Lord Ali. They're seizing the moment to question his integrity and push for accountability, and who can blame them? In politics, any sign of weakness is fair game. They're framing this as a case of questionable ethics and a breach of public trust, and they're using it to cast doubt on Starmer's character. These calls for investigation aren't just political posturing, they could have real consequences for Starmer's future. If there's a formal inquiry, it could reveal even more details that paint him and his team in a bad light. And when it comes to leading a major party, perceived integrity is everything. The implications are clear. If Starmer can't shake off this scandal, his leadership could be in jeopardy. Labour's hopes for the next election could be compromised, especially if voters start to see Starmer as just another politician who doesn't play by the rules.
Growth, its number one economic priority, it needs to find money from somewhere. A day-long charm offensive featuring the King and Sir Elton John, no less, seems to have worked. Many of the business leaders who've committed £60 billion.
The scandal hasn't just led to scrutiny from the opposition. There's trouble brewing within Labour itself. Rosie Duffield, a prominent member of the party, recently resigned, accusing Starmer of hypocrisy. She pointed out that while he was accepting lavish gifts, he was also making tough economic decisions that hurt ordinary citizens, like cutting winter fuel payments for pensioners. Her resignation is more than just a personal decision. It's a public display of discontent that could inspire others within the party to speak out as well. Duffield's departure is a blow to Labour's image and unity. It paints a picture of a party that's struggling to maintain cohesion under Starmer's leadership. When a member leaves over ethical concerns, it suggests that not everyone in Labour is on board with how things are being run. This kind of internal rebellion can weaken a leader's position, making it harder for them to command respect and trust from their ranks. If other members follow Duffield's lead, Starmer could find himself facing a full-blown crisis within the party.